Know that throughout the HIV epidemic, civil society organizations often have been first responders to the HIV response, and CSOs have been able to extend and expand the reach of government-led health systems, adding value to HIV prevention efforts and supporting persons living with HIV in adherence and retention to services. And the benefits of CSOs service delivery provides to national government are essential to any HIV response, including their unique role in reaching vulnerable and marginalized persons impacted by the HIV. And reflecting this reality, CSOs have been an integral part of the government's activity implementation. However, in the last 5 years, external funding support, such as Global Fund, as well as other local financing mechanisms, have been continuously decreasing, and this resulted to a shrinking space for civil society in ensuring sustainability services and putting advocacy efforts in jeopardy. Now, the commemoration of the World AIDS Day is an important opportunity to recognize the essential role that communities have played and continue to play in the AIDS response at the international, national, and local levels. Communities contribute to the AIDS response in many different ways. That's why when Ma'am Beng and John approached me to support this endeavor, I immediately said yes, because I think this is the sector that needs to also scale up their response. Okay, the leadership and advocacy ensure that the response remains relevant and grounded, keeping people at the center and leaving no one behind. Communities include peer educators, marami tayo dito, the Save the Children, and also Love Yourself, Red Whistle, nakita ko si Ben. And this network of people living with HIV or affected with HIV, such as gay men and other men who have sex with men, people who inject drugs, and sex workers, women and young people, counselors, community health workers, door-to-door service providers, civil society organizations, and grassroots activists. World AIDS Day offers an important platform to highlight the role of communities at a time when reduced funding and shrinking space for civil society are putting the sustainability of services advocacy efforts in jeopardy. And the newly enacted AIDS law in the Philippines has emphasized the multi-sectoral approach in responding to countries' HIV and AIDS by ensuring that the whole of government approach, local communities, civil society organizations, and persons living with HIV are at the center of the process. And I would like to say that despite the financial challenges facing the country, the government still needs to develop mechanisms to support the CSOs. And this mechanism for government funding is the best way to ensure that HIV services and programs in the country are effectively implemented and sustained. The country has now the fastest growing HIV epidemic in the world, and fast-tracking our HIV response is urgently needed. Game-changing approaches such as medicine to prevent HIV, we now have pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is a pill being taken by an HIV-negative individual who have risky behavior, engaging in unsafe sex and other risky behaviors. We need to have a national condom strategies and innovations in HIV testing, such as community-based screening and self-testing. Introduction of newer ARV antiretroviral drugs, which would have lesser side effects than the current ones that we have. And of course, the viral suppression, the campaign, the U equals U campaign, which means undetectable is equal to untransmissible, meaning if you are already undetectable, you cannot transmit the virus. So this is a campaign where giving back the control to someone with HIV, a control to run their lives and achieve their dreams. And of course, harm reduction program. Although we have, a standing war on drugs, I hope in the near future we can, provide a harm reduction program to the people who inject drugs. Comprehensive sexuality education, especially for the young people, because the epidemic that we have now, the majority of the new infections are coming from the 15 to 24 age group, okay? And give the people the power to protect themselves for HIV, and for people living with HIV the power to thrive. And the only way to end HIV epidemic in the country is when all of us get our acts together and work together for a collective action. HIV can destroy the body's immunity, but not the spirit of the community. Thank you.